The silent years, 400 years of waiting. For 400 years the heavens went dark. No prophets, no miracles, no word from God. The last voice Israel heard was a warning from Malachi, and then silence. Complete, suffocating silence. But while God was silent, the world was screaming. Empires rose and fell. Blood soaked the temple floors. A madman sacrificed a pig on God's altar. And through it all, one question echoed through the darkness. Has God forgotten us? What you're about to discover is that those silent years weren't empty. They were the most violent, strategic, and transformative years in human history. This is the untold story of the 400 years that changed everything. The story of how God orchestrated the perfect moment for his Son to enter the world. Welcome to the Chronicles of the Bible, where we unseal the hidden histories, the untold stories, and the forgotten moments that shaped the greatest book ever written. This is where faith meets history, where ancient prophecy collides with brutal reality, and where we discover that God's silence is often louder than his voice. If you're ready to go deeper than Sunday school ever took you, you're in the right place. Now let's dive into the story. The Old Testament ends with a promise. Malachi prophesied that God would send a messenger, a forerunner who would prepare the way. And then the page turns, and there's nothing. For 4 centuries, from the time of Nehemiah to the birth of John the Baptist, your Bible has a blank space. But that blank page, it's soaked in blood, conquest, and divine strategy. While the Jews were rebuilding Jerusalem stone by stone, the world was being torn apart. The Persian Empire, the same empire that had allowed the Jews to return home, began to crumble. And from the west came a force unlike anything the world had ever seen. A young king, barely in his 20s, with eyes set on conquering the entire known world. History would call him Alexander the Great. But the prophet Daniel had already seen him coming centuries earlier, a leopard with wings, moving with supernatural speed. Alexander didn't just bring armies, he brought something far more dangerous, a culture, Hellenism, the Greek way of life. He forced Greek language, Greek philosophy, Greek gymnasiums, and Greek gods onto every nation he conquered. For the first time in human history, the world spoke one language, one universal tongue that could carry a message from Jerusalem to Rome, from Egypt to Spain. Do you see what God was doing? The New Testament wouldn't be written in Hebrew, the language of the few. It would be written in Greek, the language of the masses. The silent years were preparing the stage for the gospel to explode across the world. But then came the screams. After Alexander died, his empire was carved up by his generals. And one of them, a man named Antiochus Epiphanes, became the ruler of Israel. And he had one goal: to erase the Jewish faith from existence. He banned the Torah. He made circumcision a capital crime. He forced Jews to eat pork and worship Greek gods. But the worst was yet to come. In 167 BC, Antiochus marched into Jerusalem, stormed into the Holy of Holies, the most sacred place on earth where only the high priest could enter once a year, and he desecrated it. He sacrificed a pig on the altar. He erected a statue of Zeus in God's temple. This wasn't just a political move. This was spiritual warfare. This was the abomination of desolation that Daniel had prophesied. And the people broke. A priest named Mattathias, along with his 5 sons, led a rebellion. It was called the Maccabean revolt, and it was brutal. Guerrilla warfare in the hills, outnumbered, outgunned, but fueled by a faith that refused to die. Against all odds, they won. They took back the temple, cleansed it, and rededicated it to God. That's what Jews celebrate every year at Hanukkah. But here's what's staggering. These people were willing to die for a God who hadn't spoken to them in over 200 years. Think about that. No prophet, no miracle, no voice from heaven, just a promise. And they believed it enough to bleed for it. But freedom didn't last. In 63 BC, the Roman general Pompey marched into Jerusalem. The age of Greek influence was over. Now came the iron boot of Caesar. The Jews were no longer free. They were a conquered people, a province, a tax source. Rome crushed rebellion with crucifixions lining the roads as warnings. But Rome also brought something crucial, something that would become the backbone of the early church. The Pax Romana, Roman peace, and with it, Roman roads. Thousands upon thousands of miles of paved highways connecting Asia, Africa, and Europe like veins in a body. It was the ancient version of the internet. A missionary could now travel from Jerusalem to Spain on Roman roads, protected by Roman law, speaking Greek to every person he met. Do you see it? God was setting the stage. The world was connected. It spoke one language. It was unified under one government. All that was missing was the message. By the time we reach the end of the 400 years, the spiritual atmosphere in Israel is suffocating. The people are taxed into poverty. They're ruled by a paranoid, murderous puppet king named Herod who wasn't even fully Jewish. The Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious leaders, had turned the vibrant faith of Abraham, Moses, and David into a cold, lifeless system of rules and regulations. The joy was gone. The presence was gone. The voice was gone. The people didn't just want a king, they wanted a whisper. They wanted to know that God hadn't abandoned them. 400 years of the same question echoing in the darkness. Has God forgotten his promise? But God wasn't absent. He was conducting. He was moving the pieces of the Persian, Greek, and Roman empires like a master chess player. He was waiting for the exact moment when the world was small enough, connected enough, desperate enough, and broken enough to receive his son. The silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And then it happened. The 400 years didn't end with thunder or lightning or an army of angels descending from the sky. It ended in a quiet room with an elderly priest named Zechariah, standing by the altar of incense, going through the motions of a ritual he'd performed 1,000 times. And suddenly, there was someone else in the room, an angel. After 4 centuries of silence, heaven spoke, and the first words, "Do not be afraid." The waiting was over. The king was coming, and nothing would ever be the same again. The silent years teach us something profound. When God is quiet, he is not absent. He is often doing his greatest work in the shadows, moving nations, shifting empires, breaking hearts, and preparing the world for a revelation so powerful that it would split history in two. Before Christ, after Christ. Everything changed because God knew exactly when to break his silence. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you see the Bible in a new light, then do me a favor. Don't let this be the last time we dig into the hidden chronicles together. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we're just getting started. There are more untold stories, more buried truths, more moments where God's fingerprints are all over history, and we're going to uncover every single one of them. Don't miss what's coming next. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue to unseal the chronicles of the Bible. The story is far from over.